60 Minutes Overtime.
Africa is no stranger to challenges. Now the continent has a major jobs crisis on the horizon. That's because Africa is home to the youngest, fastest growing population on the planet. According to the United Nations, 1 in 4 people on Earth will live on the African continent by 2050, and these people will need to work. In Kenya, President William Ruto is banking on technology as the answer. But how countries like Kenya try to create jobs, and whether those jobs will pay a living wage, will be a challenge of the next quarter century.
This is kind of the norm here.
The need for jobs, employment, is acute across the continent, and that's one of the things we've tried to help is to grow the economy here in Kenya. Kenyans are very...
We spoke with Meg Whitman, who was, until recently, the U.S. ambassador to Kenya. It's no coincidence that President Joe Biden tapped Whitman, the former CEO of both eBay and Hewlett-Packard, to be America's representative to Kenya. The leading technological and innovation hub of East Africa, Kenya is positioning itself not as a Silicon Valley, but as the Silicon Savannah.
There's a robust venture capital community here, and then some very good universities. So it's growing rapidly. Jobs are being created in technology, everything from full-stack code engineering to business process outsourcing to call centers, all kinds of things. Silicon Savannah is very real. It is anchored by M-Pesa, which was the grandfather company here that launched Silicon Savannah in many ways, sort of like HP in Silicon Valley.
We traveled to Kenya in 2015 to report on M-Pesa, a pioneering mobile money transfer service. M-Pesa began Kenya's push into technology and innovation in 2007.
So you go into M-Pesa?
We spoke to Bob Collymore, then the CEO of Safaricom, Kenya's largest cell phone provider. Safaricom started M-Pesa as a way for people to send and receive money through texting without needing a bank account.
It is often referred to as Kenya's alternative currency.
You're texting money.
You are effectively texting money.
How sophisticated is the phone that you use for M-Pesa? Is it a smartphone?
No, it's the cheapest phone you can have. It was designed to work at the lowest level of technology.
We watched as people around the country used M-Pesa to pay for everything, from taxi rides to new cows, even clean solar energy.
It says the room all over.
People don't buy a packet of cigarettes, they'll buy a cigarette. People don't buy a tube of toothpaste. If you go into the slums, you'll see people buy a squeeze of toothpaste. And so you have to operate at that micro level.
It's no longer just the micro level. Today, M-Pesa is used across Africa. According to the company, the platform enabled more than 28 billion transactions in 8 countries this fiscal year, amounting to more than $310 billion. M-Pesa isn't alone in making Nairobi a tech capital. There are places like the Innovation Center iHub, which helps tech entrepreneurs grow their ideas. There are companies like the Nairobi-based Ushahidi, a nonprofit that leverages data for crisis response and election monitoring around the globe. And there's investment. This year, Microsoft and the UAE-based AI firm G42 pledged $1 billion toward expanding Kenya's digital ecosystem. But growth like this can have its shortcomings. As we reported this week on 60 Minutes, American tech giants like Meta and OpenAI have been contracting middleman companies to hire Kenyan workers for their operations. Those employees tell us that the work was mentally draining and emotionally harmful. There's no job security, and the pay was dismal. Ambassador Whitman told us Kenya must work to protect employees if it wants to become the global tech player it aspires to be.
A section of these jobs I have heard and seen are underpaid. The working conditions may not be exactly what we aspire to as Americans. So we've been working quite hard and have heard the complaints about, respect for workers, decent pay, working conditions. And Kenya is getting there. They need to update their labor laws to the 2010 Constitution. There's more work to be done. I mean, Kenya is the tech capital of East Africa. It should be the tech capital of the entire continent. And so getting the right laws in place, getting Kenya labor law updated, and applying influence is an important thing to do.
Another important thing to do, according to Whitman, is attract foreign investment in Kenya's tech space to help the country create jobs, especially for young people.
There's 1 million college graduates every year, 300,000 of which find jobs that are befitting of a college education.
Wow,
and by the
third.
way, there's 1 million more coming every single year. And so the ability to attract foreign direct investment, to help create a climate where all businesses thrive, not only foreign companies, but Kenyan companies, where Silicon Savannah really takes off to become the digital hub of all of Africa. If we can be at all helpful on creating jobs, I think that's the #1 thing that we can do, not only in Kenya, but frankly, Africa. And if the jobs aren't created, what will be the future of this continent in 20 years? It will not be what it could be.